This Pyro is at full health. If I heal him, he'll get an overheal, a temporary health boost that slowly decays. This temporary health is capped at 150% of their normal health, and no matter what I do, I won't be able to overheal them past this point. But what if I can? What would tf2 look like without an overheal limit? I held my viewers at gunpoint and politely asked them to participate in the experiment, to see what would actually happen if overhealing had no limits. So, what ended up being the meta? For the combat classes, you probably assume that the Spy and Heavy would be the most important. You would be wrong, but not alone. Before the experiment, the most popular prediction was Heavy with 27% of responses, and second most popular prediction, Spy with 23%. The idea was that because of how much health people would have, the only classes that could make any impact would be the Heavy for its high damage output, and the Spy for its instant kill backstab, which kills regardless of health. What I just said makes perfect sense, so how is it wrong? The problem with Spy was that backstabs only work if you stab their back. If people look at you, then you can't backstab them. You could get lucky and brute force your way into a janky face stab, but for the most part, we found that the Spy was actually pretty useless. He ended up being a support role that would come in for surprise backstabs. Theoretically, Heavy does the most damage. Against a scout with 1000 HP, the stock minigun kills the scout in about 2 seconds, or 1.35 seconds with the Brass Beast. The problem here is that people don't stand still. On the contrary, they move around a lot, and moving targets are hard to hit. So in practice, because aiming is hard, the Heavy's damage output is not actually that good. Instead, the Heavy got replaced by the Flog. Even though on paper, the Flog is worse than the miniguns, taking 2.23 seconds to kill the 1000 HP scout with crits. Because the weapon is so easy to use, in practice, the Flog actually has a higher damage output. I got a friend to 1v1 me. One of us would play Pyro, and the other would play Heavy. We both start with 2000 HP. Regardless of whoever played Heavy, they had absolutely no chance against the Pyro. The Heavy would literally never score a single point. Of the 6 games we played, there was only 1 Heavy kill. So because it was actually difficult to get backstabs, and everyone's aim was too awful to play Heavy, the Flog Pyro became the main combat class. The Flog also had an extra benefit of making it easier to deal with spies whenever they randomly showed up. For the support role, people tried Soldier, Engineer, and Pyro. Soldier with Battalion's backup was okay, but the Flog crits charge way faster than the backup. So after you survive one Flog attack with the backup, you would die to the next one that would come immediately after. Engineer sentries were actually pretty effective because everyone was too preoccupied to stop them from building. The actual damage output of the sentries weren't that relevant, but the knockback they inflict could be a problem for the attacking team. Pyro Airblast was occasionally useful when you were trying to do the objective, but flames outranged the Airblast by about 82 units. So Flog Pyros could simply sit outside the airblast range and kill you. As for the medics, the quick fix came out on top. First of all, the Kritzkrieg is useless because the 2 combat classes don't make any use of it. The Spy's revolver of crits isn't very threatening to people with thousands of HP, and the Pyro can literally build Flog instantly, so the Kritzkrieg has no purpose. Ubercharge and Vaccinator weren't without utility, since the Ubercharge can save you from a spy backstab, for example. But they were sidelined because the quick fix Uber with the Ubersaw was just too good. People realized that since the quick fix Uber gives both you and your target a ton of health, you could repeat this loop of pop Uber, get 4 saws, and repeat. With this strategy, you were able to generate a ton of HP super quickly. There were also some novel uses of stunning people with the Übersaw taunt to give your spy a chance to backstab someone. But if you failed the taunt, it would turn out very poorly. So that's what the game devolved into. Constant flaw crits, medics scrambling around for saws, and the occasional spy backstab.
Sort of remove some of the limitations and constraints. It's brought in an even stronger and more talented group of people.